you guys. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Sara, are you okay with that?
Yeah, let's get going.
Okay, so you guys, thank you from the bottom of our heart for being here tonight. We know this is probably a hard time because with kids this age, it's often dinner time and bath time and all of those times. So we appreciate that you are here. Couple of things we had a webinar right before this. I know that there is a lot of you who are here again. So I just want to preface this with saying some of this information that you see at the beginning is going to be the same. We had a lot of people in this age group kind of ask about some things that we just feel is really important to go over again for all of the new people who just got here. So bear with us as we get through these first couple of slides. Also, let's see what else. I do want to let people know that we anticipate this to go for about an hour, and we're going to answer some questions we hope at the end. I guess, Sara, I'll go ahead and have you click to the next slide if you don't mind. Oh, nope. Yep. Yay. Okay. Yay. Our favorite. All right, you guys. So we just want to give a huge shout out to Partners in Pediatrics. Partners in Pediatrics has co-hosted this with us, and we are beyond grateful and flattered that they are doing this with us tonight. For those of you who are joining outside of Partners in Pediatrics, maybe through a Facebook or the Denver Commerce or wherever you're coming from, I just want to let you know a little bit about Partners in Pediatrics. They are a very well-known pediatrician's office here in the Denver metro area. They have been around since 1977. I think a lot of the kids that they see now are like third generation, which is pretty special. And tonight we have with us Dr. Nancy Latitis, who's one of the founders, and we have PA Jimmy Amitas, Dr. Jimmy, and we are beyond honored, like I said, to have them here. This pediatrician's office focuses on a holistic approach. They do a lot of integrative and preventative work with their kids. And again, if you're in the area and you happen to be here on Facebook looking for a pediatrician, I personally, our family goes there, and we could not speak more highly of them. So thank you to both of you and to your entire practice for letting us be here. We are truly, truly grateful. So with that, again, I know if you've already been here, you know who we are, and you know probably a little bit about us and kind of how this is going to flow, but I feel it's important to tell the new people that are here about Sleepably. So Sleepably was started in 2018 by my husband, Seth Davis. Seth is the founder. He is also a former insomniac. I met him about 10 years ago. Did not know that we would be down this road by any means 10 years later, but quickly learned that he had a lot of issues with sleep. And Seth ended up leaving the corporate world a couple of years back and decided to do some adult sleep certifications and sleep coaching himself. He kind of taught himself what his sleep issues were, kind of confronted them head on, and decided that really he became passionate about it enough that he really wanted to give back and talk to other adults who were facing the same issues as he was. So one of the interesting things that he found through his journey on this was that a lot of the people and adults he was talking to were facing sleep issues because they had children. And we also at that time had children. So we decided that it was important to bring this to another group of people, and that is parents. And so with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to hand it over to Sara to let her introduce herself. But Sara and I are nurses. We're pediatric nurses. We work at Children's Hospital. We've worked personally together for the last 3 or 4 years. We do telephone triage, so maybe you've talked to us on the phone in some sort of aspect, but I have been a nurse for 12 years. I've worked in pediatrics, which is where my heart lies. I love these little kiddos. They're so resilient and so incredible as patients. And so I'm super excited to be here as a certified pediatric sleep consultant, which I had decided to kind of go down that road after our second child. Our first child slept on us for a solid 2 years. And when we had our second child, we realized that that just couldn't be the way that we kind of moved through our life together as a unit of 4. So we got kind of like down and dirty and did some sleep training with our youngest a lot earlier on than we did with our 2-year-old. And I know we're talking to a 2-year-old group, so I will tell you, it's a little bit challenging with toddlers to go down this journey, but something that I'm super, super passionate about. I love this age group. And so like I said, I have 2 younger boys. I've been where you guys have been. I have done the sleep regressions. I have done the nap refusal, the resisting of bedtime, the early morning wake ups. I feel your pain. I know your pain. I know where you're at. And I know the strong will of this age group. So I'm really excited to talk to you about this age group. And I just want Sara to kind of introduce herself quickly as well. And then we'll get moving.
All right, you guys, I'm Sara, and I am so excited to be here. So again, thank you to Partners in Pediatrics for collaborating with us. So I am a pediatric nurse. My whole career has been in pediatrics. And I've been a nurse for about 15 years. And then for the last 8 years, I've been at children's. And so love being a nurse. But like what I told the other group, you know what I love more than being a nurse? I love helping parents with these sleep troubles. Like, it's the most rewarding thing ever. I have 4 kiddos, ages 5 to 21. So there's a spread. And so kind of like what Rebecca said, I've been in your shoes, when my 5-year-old was just, infant, 6 months, just crying. And I would sit outside of a room crying. And for some reason, it was super easy for my husband to listen to the cries where I was like, I need to go in. And so it's so helpful if you have a partner and a coach to kind of help with these middle of the night sleeps. So anywho, we'll get started. Okay. There we go.
All right. So we just want to quick thank all of you. This is a large group, and we were a little surprised actually that this group was larger than our previous group, but also maybe not surprised because this group comes with a little bit of vinegar with them. They like to show their personalities here. So I just want to say over the next about 40 minutes or so. In fact, what's interesting about this group is that they're clumped together a little differently. It's not like the previous group that is very like broken down to newborn, 4 to 6, 7 to 9. So there's 2 groups in here, and a lot of things are very similar here. So I feel like we might be able to take more questions in this group. So we're going to do our best to get through the information that we have that hopefully touches on the questions that you guys wrote in. Lots of people, like I said, in this age group, lots of similar things you guys are going through. I always love to know that as a mom, that I'm not alone and that my kids are going through similar things, or other parents are facing similar things that my husband and I are facing. So thank you for writing in. Please know that if we do not get to your personal question, or you feel like a question that you have wasn't answered, when we get to the time towards the end of this presentation, you are welcome to type in via the Zoom chat box or raise your hand, and Sara will call on some questions towards the end. Also, if this is something you feel like you would want to do an individual consultation about because you just have something more specific you need help on or coaching on, visit our website at sleepably.com. We'll go over that a little bit more towards the end, but let's go ahead and get started on the nitty-gritty.
All right. So why is sleep important? Why are we all here anyway? So, along with food and water, sleep is just one of the most important kind of physiological need that we all have, right? So sleep helps to support not only like your immune system, so right now especially important, but it also helps the ability of your brain to develop and to learn. There's so much like growth and development that occurs during sleep that sometimes sleep is even just kind of referred to as the sleeping block of the brain development. Building block of brain development. You guys know what I meant. Anyway, so a lack of sleep though can lead to like an increased BMI and a higher likelihood of diabetes. And then sleep is super important for the healing and repair of like blood vessels in your cardiovascular system. So very, very important kind of component of health and well-being. Okay. My ring doorbell. Okay, go ahead.
I was like, oh, that's so relaxing. All right, you guys. So same thing, guys. I know we just went over this in the other group, but this carries through from infancy on. I mean, even if we were to talk about older children, the same things ring true. So room environment. Sara and I do a lot of room environment assessment. And pre-COVID, we got the pleasure of going to people's houses and looking through their nursery to try to help, or their child's bedroom to try to help it feng shui better towards sleep, not towards like the cutesiness. So we said this also in the last one, but we get so much stuff from parents and grandparents and friends and all of that during like baby showers and that kind of thing. The room should be simple. The bed, the crib should be the most simple. And a lot of times in this age group, we are moving over to toddler beds. So a couple things about room environment: dark. Same thing, you guys, it's got to be dark in their room. It really does. It needs to, again, you shouldn't be able to see your hand in front of your face when you're in your child's room. So whichever way their windows are facing, we want to make sure that we give them enough darkness that they don't start to have their cycles inside their little minds, their circadian rhythm or their cortisol and melatonin kind of flip on you guys. So dark room is really imperative. We will go into night lights because this group is a group who struggles a lot with being scared. And so I know we'll touch on that in a little bit, but I will talk to you about a nightlight. Lots of kids request a nightlight. Lots of parents ask about nightlights. And this is the age where we start to see that kids are getting scared. So nightlights, we encourage you, if you're going to do a nightlight, to do a amber or a red nightlight. Blue light is going to start getting the brain moving. White light is going to start getting the brain moving. So really the light should be just enough for them to kind of be able to look up and know, okay, I'm in my bedroom, but not, oh, there's some lights. Maybe I'm going to, is it time is mommy downstairs having coffee, or what's daddy doing? And that kind of thing. So night light with red or amber light is the type of light that we would suggest if your child wants a night light or you want a night light. White noise, again, this is still a good age. A lot of parents, I figured we should kind of drop it by now, but really no. I mean, the association with sound for sleep can be very, very strong. So if you actually start implementing white noise or some sort of sound that's consistent, like a vacuum or a fan, those things at this age in particular can help block out other noises that are happening in your house. So a dog's walking by, or someone, God forbid, rings the doorbell, or other kids are in the house and this child goes to bed a little bit earlier than the older kids. White noise is great, especially with this age. Like I said, the association that they have with sleep and sound can be very strong. So we really encourage that. Just nothing that's cyclic, like no classical music or something that's going off and on, like an ocean, or really important, something that doesn't have a timer and stops after 30 minutes, because you want the child to be able to wake up, hear the same noise that they went to bed to, know where they are, and get themselves back to sleep. So really important thing there. Again, we live in Colorado. Our temperatures fluctuate by 40 degrees in any given day. So we put in here the degree of the room. It's 68 to 72. That's ideal. But please don't freak out if your room is 80 because it's hot. You can always do a fan in the room. If you're worried about your child being overheated, you can always check the nape of their neck. If it's sweaty, chances are they're probably hot. If you yourself are in their bedroom, getting them ready for bed and feel cold, they probably feel cold as well. So just judge the temperature by your own personal thermometer, internal thermometer, but no, ideally and in a perfect situation, 68 to 72 is great. And then you guys, we want their bedroom to be somewhere that feels really comfortable to them, somewhere that they like to be. So quiet play is great in their bedroom. Then we're going to talk about having quiet time in their bedroom as the kids get older. This should be a place that they feel safe and comfortable. And it's not the same place as, say, a toy room or a playroom or a music room or mom and dad's room. This is their little special place. And I encourage you to get them involved, especially as they get older, to make their room feel more comfortable for them. That will probably be the later age group here around 4, but loveys and blankies, this is a great age to get that implemented. Sometimes kids just need a little something to make them feel cozy and comfortable and that they're close and that they can snuggle into. So room environment is really important. Take a look at your child's room and see if there's any sort of changes you can make a change. And then, of course, we wouldn't be nurses if we didn't talk about safety. So as pediatric nurses and sleep coaches, we have to talk about safety. This age group loves to explore and loves to do what they're not supposed to do and loves to bump their heads. So this is a picture of a child climbing out of their crib, which is inevitably going to happen during this time frame of 19 months to 4 years old. Sara and I have a couple of tricks for you to talk about when this happens, but our most important and our biggest take home here is that we want your kid to be safe. So kids start to explore, kids start to climb out, and we're gonna go over that with you guys. So I'll let Sara go ahead and she's gonna take it away from here.
All right, I apologize for the slide issue. My computer was frozen, so who knows that, you know, playing on your mouse makes the slides go. Anyhow, so we wanted to address, a lot of folks wrote in for their concerns that they were worried about their kiddo waking up in the middle of the night for whatever reason. And so, you know, we kind of went back and forth. Well, do we talk about these night wakings, which is a specific age group? But really it encompasses, you know, from 19 months, you know, 5 to 6 years even. So we just want to kind of address these issues at the very beginning. So night terrors. What are night terrors? So typically night terrors will occur right around midnight to 2 a.m. Okay, and this is where your kiddo wakes up crying, screaming, looking right at you, but then they're not there. Like you can kind of sense that disconnect, right? They could be thrashing, they could be talking, and then the next morning, if you know it's a verbal kiddo, no recollection. They have no memory of what happened. So night terrors are more common with girls, and you know some kiddos are just more kind of predisposed to them. They'll happen, you know, if your kiddo is overtired, kind of like an overstimulating day, lots of change going on, lots of stress going on, which is like right now during COVID, right? And so what is a parent to do? Well, I tell you firsthand, my oldest daughter, who's now She now is 18. She was a night terror kiddo, and she's now a sleepwalker kiddo. And you know, we would have like a full-on nonsensical conversation. And basically, what we need to do as parents is just gently and calmly return your kiddo back to bed if they have gotten out of bed. If you are in, you know, if they're in a crib and they're crying and they're scared, again, calmly, firmly, gently offer reassurance, and know that you really can't, and like, you don't want to wake the kiddo up. You just want to be there. Night terrors don't last for more than a few minutes. They can be like scary for you because your kiddo's crying and screaming and you know, thrashing. But it kind of comes just as fast as it goes, and then they'll fall back asleep. Okay. So if, though, I do want to also mention, if you are kind of noticing like that they're increasing in severity, or if you're worried, always reach out to your pediatrician. Okay. For our kiddos who are no longer in the crib, actually, wait, let's talk about, we will mention this in a little bit too, but for these kiddos that are climbing out of their cribs, we do have a few tricks up our sleeves to help prevent that. But if your kiddo either crawled out of their crib, jumped out of their crib, or if they're in a toddler or adult bed, and they've, you know, kind of snuck into your bedroom, and it's hard, it's 2 a.m. and you're exhausted, but kind of the biggest thing is consistency. You get up, walk them back into their room, give a quick hug and kiss, and then you go back to bed. They may follow you, and then I want you to go back in and return them back to bed. And this could go on several times. If you're concerned about safety, as Rebecca mentioned, we're kind of safety nerds here. And so you can install a baby gate. Some parents will close the door, kind of just depending on your comfort level there. But it's just a lot about repetition and consistency. Okay. Early wake-ups. Again, we will talk about this a little bit deeper. But early wake-ups are often a sign that your kiddo has maybe napped too long during the day. Okay, and so we will go over some kind of recommendations on how long your kiddo should be sleeping during the day. Should they be taking a nap during the day? And so, but early wake-ups, a lot of the times, it's just about kind of getting that sleep routine and sleep structure to that sweet spot, and then the early wake-ups will decrease. Another thing though with early wake-ups, you want to treat like a 5:30 a.m. wake-up, unless you're an early riser. But if you're not an early riser and you don't want your kiddo to be awake at 5:30 enjoying your coffee with you, you're going to want to treat these early wake-ups just like you would at 2 a.m. Okay, and it's like nice and cozy as it is to welcome them into like snuggle with you. That can reinforce some kind of bad habits that we don't necessarily want to encourage, but gosh, it is nice. It is nice. And again, preferring to sleep with parents. You know, there's just some kiddos who just, if they just snuggle in with mom and dad, you know, that's kind of their sweet spot. And again, kind of with the getting out of bed thing, you just get up, get out of bed, and take them back into their bedroom. And then after 3 to 5, sometimes 12 nights, then they learn kind of what happens, and so they stop bothering. But it's a lot about consistency with that. All right, so I'm going to talk about the 19 to 3-year-old tribe. Gosh, I do love these toddlers and like early preschoolers. They're just so full of like laughter and energy and spunk, and you just never know what's going to happen, right? So for those of you who have a 19-month to 36-monther and you were kind of curious about some things for this age group, here is a guideline for their wake times. And what is a wake time? So a wake time is the amount of time that it goes in between sleeps. So for example, if your kiddo wakes up at 7 a.m. and let's say they're 19 months, then we know that beginning at noon or 2 p.m., that's when their wake time will be complete. And you may think about scheduling their nap in between that noon to 2 p.m. period. for this age group, we would love for them to be taking one nap a day, okay, and no more than 3 hours. If your kiddo is taking a longer nap than 3 hours, you may be seeing like early wake ups. You may be seeing kind of like a struggle at bedtime. And so, though no kid is ever textbook because we're all super unique. So again, this is just kind of a guideline, okay? If, on the last group I did say, go ahead and take your cell phones out if you need to take a picture. Okay. All right, so transitioning it to a toddler bed. This can be a super fun and cool kind of opportunity for your toddler, right? If they're ready for it. So how do you know if they're ready for it? If they're climbing out and the crib mattress is at the lowest setting and they're still crawling out, then they're ready. And Rebecca had the coolest tip. So if you flip, you know, the cribs, right? Some of them have like a higher or a taller side, kind of more like a headboard. If you flip that around, so instead of being against the wall, now it's like in front of you, it makes it more challenging for these little monkeys to crawl out. But if your kiddo is still crawling out, safety first, friends, then we got to get a toddler bed going, okay? So for sure, very important to child-proof the room, everything from like blinds and curtain cords and electrical sockets, and we want to make sure that if they do get out of bed, that it's super safe and we don't have to worry about them creating mischief in their bedroom, okay? A baby gate or kind of closing the door. So they're vocal. Really, I mean, honestly. So they are going to protest if you are leaving them in their bed. If you do use a baby gate and they want to get out of the room, they're gonna protest. Okay, and this is their communication. So this is great. They trust you and love you enough to communicate their feelings. Okay, so tantrums. That's just kind of par for the course here. And then your job is lots of like positive reinforcements and hugs and cuddles. And, like we've all been there, like at our wit's end, like if you're at the grocery store and like your kiddo is throwing a temper tantrum and like you're just embarrassed, right? And so it's totally fine for you too, parents, just to kind of take a time out and walk away, go put in a load of laundry while your kiddo is kind of screaming here. Again, this is their job. Consistency it's key for any of the age groups, but for this group, oh boy, sugar, it is like the secret sauce. So we really encourage you to set rules and limits and stick to those. Both parents, they know who's like the kind of easier parent, and so just make sure to communicate with your partner or, any of the folks that we're, our tribe of people, right, that we're raising these kiddos with. Communicate the expectations and the boundaries, just so that we're all on the same page, and that just makes it easier for everyone, okay? Rebecca, did I leave anything out, especially since this is like your specialty?
No, I think the last part there where it says, and you don't need to go back, but that age group loves to stall. It actually kind of transitions into this age group too. This age group of children, 3 to 4, and even before, more the like 2.5, I would say. But these kids love to stall the bedtime. Whatever they can do to get you to stick around, they're going to do. So more water, need to go pee again, need you to cuddle 5 more minutes, one more book. So again, like Sara was saying, the consistency is so important. You need to set the guidelines. We have water before we go to bed. There's water right next to your toddler bed. We go pee-pee before bed. We read 2 books. You got to stick with 2 books or whatever it is, 3 books or 5 books, whatever it is in your family. It's so hard to say no to this group because they're just so cute and lovey and they just want their little cuddles. And, how do you say no to that? But they are a smart bunch. And if you start to be lenient with, okay, well, mommy will do another book, or, you know, we can do one more. It just sets them up to know, aha, I can get what I want. And these kids really, they thrive on boundaries, to be honest with you. They need boundaries, and they're trying to figure out how much can I push you and how much will you be pushed over. And so holding firm is not, it's not an unloving thing, you guys. It's really a gift, because they need and they crave this consistency, and to know how far is too far, what can I expect, what can I get. And I think exponentially right now in our current circumstances, this is a really, really big thing, because there's just so many changes right now, and so many unknowns, that you as parents need to be the known. You need your child needs to know what is expected and what is to come next. And you need to be sort of that sounding board right now, as if you need another thing to do. I know, but it's super important. So let me talk to you about 3 and 4-year-olds, another group I just love to pieces. So these kids love to do well. Like they really do. They want to do right by their parents, and they want to make people happy, and they love to know that they've done something right. So positive rewards here is huge. These kids want to be reinforced, and they want to know that they're doing the right thing. So something that Sara and I have seen that really works good here is a chart. Because a lot of these kids are starting to go to preschool, they're starting to learn little organization and how things fall into categories, and they're super proud of themselves if they can visually see that they've completed something. So sticker charts are huge in this age group. I think that making a weekly sticker chart, or 10 days or 3 days, whatever it is that you decide is a good amount of time to get a reward. This seems to be a really big motivator with this age group. So something that we've done is, and you know, it kind of depends on the temperament of the child and just sort of the child's character in and of itself. But we find sometimes going to the dollar store or to Target, which I know is just not as fun anymore. So picking something out on Amazon or whatever it is ahead of time, something they really want, and then having it there, but not playing with it or saying, okay, we have it, or putting it away, or saying, you know, it's in our, you know, yes, you can pick this out and we'll buy it after your chart is complete. 3 to 7 days of this consistency, and them being very excited about getting their chart in order and filling in all of the things with a reward is awesome. And it's such a, I feel like as a parent, a reasonable thing to do, because I think we all sort of work towards something, or you know, a lot of us are motivated by having a carrot dangled in front of us. So we're gonna, you know, work towards a promotion, or we're gonna work towards a bonus or something like that. It sets a goal for them, and these kids are ready to have goals set for them. So hey, if you can sleep in your bed for 7 nights, and not saying that you don't have to get up and bring them back to their bed, but you know, you get into their room in the morning and they did it, even if you had to go into their room a couple of times to bring them back, that is a big deal. And they get to put a sticker every day on their little chart, and at the end of 7 days they get their little toy, the dollar store, Target, Amazon, whatever it is. That is it really works really well for these kids. So positive rewards is huge. Protesting is also very huge with this group. It's usually short-lived if you stay consistent, which I feel like we've just beaten that word to death through this evening. But I think it's so true, you guys, that we have to set rules and limits and stick to them, because these kids need to know what to expect, and they need to know what we as their caretakers need them to do. Again, if there's more than one of you that's caring for them, consistency is huge. Like Sara said, you know, maybe mommy is a softie and they know they can get their way, which I'm totally guilty of in this house. You know, we want to support them. We want to support each other in our relationships, and just knowing that protesting is very normal for this age. They're going to protest going to bed. They're going to protest brushing their teeth. They're going to protest, you know, why can't I sleep in mommy's and daddy's room? But these are all things that we can do, is get them back into their room, is this positive reward behavior, this love, this hug, this reinforcement that shows them that they can do this, because that's something that they really, really want to do at this age, is they want to be proud of themselves. So a huge thing, getting out of bed. I love this. Sara uses this with her kiddos at this age, and I think it's so awesome. It's called monster spray, because during this time, kids are starting to have they're starting to get scared, you know, and a lot of times it's a monster. There's a monster in their bed. There's a monster in the room. So what you can do is have a little spray of monster spray. So you can get just like a little jar, and Sara started implementing putting like lavender in there, which I think is so awesome. And before bed, you hold your kid's hand, you walk around and you spray monster spray wherever they think maybe the monsters are. So in their windows and in their closets and under their bed, and this monster spray is magic, and it makes makes it so that there's no monsters are ever going to want to be around monster spray. So that's a super cool thing that you guys can try with your kids. Another great thing are these new, well, they're not so new, but programmable light clocks, so that your kid knows when the clock turns green, they can get out of bed. But before the clock turns green, they have to stay in their bed. Even if that means staying in their room and they're awake, they cannot come out of their room unless it's to go potty until their clock turns green. These things are awesome. We have one of these too, and it's so fun because they learn to kind of like read the clock, and they can push the light, and the light tells them what time it is. And when it's, like I said, when it's green, it's like, oh, I can come out. And again, another awesome way to get the kids involved in creating good sleep habits. And so we are big fans of that. So rewards, programmable night clocks. And then, of course, just like with all ages, and I think especially right now too, we're finding lots of kids they want to be close with their parents, and they want to sleep in their parents' room. And I, once good sleep habits are there and implemented, I think the occasional special spend the night in parents' room make it very, very special occasion. And it can also be a reward. Buddy, it's going to be Friday night, we're going to have movie night, and you get to sleep in our room, or whatever it is. That is something that they can do when they crave right now, but it's not something that we want to create a habit of, because we want these kids to learn how to sleep and get themselves back to sleep, because it is very, it's important for them to learn how to calm themselves and get themselves through. And I think I just saw a question, which I'm happy to answer, and I think we might go into it. Will you go to the next slide and I'll just see?
Yes. And I also thought of one more kind of thing, especially now during COVID season. And I can't speak for all parents, but I will speak for myself. Devices, phones, iPads, TVs, computers. As working parents, we are now juggling homeschool, remote school learning, plus our jobs, plus we still want to be like the best parent ever, right? And with online learning, a lot of that involves a device. And so, especially for kind of this age group, 19 months and on, it's super important to limit that screen time, and make sure that, after 5 p.m., no more screen time, just to, begin to, increase the melatonin, and so that we can get these kiddos to sleep. There have been several studies, and I know this is like no surprise to anybody, but the toddlers and kind of young preschoolers who have more device time are having more sleep troubles. And so just do the best right now that y'all can. It's hard, but just be cognizant of that. And, you know, another thing that I think Rebecca and I are really respectful, that like, we are not here to preach, you know, at you. We are just here to meet you guys where you are at during this season of our life. Okay. And there is no wrong or right, you know, kind of way. And we are just really honored to partner with these parents and to kind of help them on their journey. So I just wanted to throw that quick blip out.
Yes, for
Sorry
sure.
for the tangent.
No, absolutely. Yes, 100%. Just this is kind of like our previous charts of how much sleep, guys. This age group needs a total of 10 to 13 hours of sleep in a 24-hour periods. We're going to talk about naps because we know that it gets dropped usually around this age. So there's so much research and studies about when naps drop and when how long should we keep them, and so on and so forth. But we feel like we encourage 3-year-olds to continue to nap because we see a lot of kids get really overtired before bed. And then when your kid does decide, or I guess your kid shouldn't decide, you should decide when their nap is going to be dropped. Super important to implement quiet time for this age group. This age group still needs to be able to unplug and turn themselves into just a quiet little being where they play by themselves and have self-play and imagination and all of that. So if your child is dropping their nap between 3 and 4, we rarely see kids over 4 napping, you guys. I'll just from what we've seen and how we coach, because we find that kids who are in their 4-year-old, occasionally they nap, right? They've ran around and played all day and they're exhausted because they've been out in the pool and all of that. Of course, napping is fine, but just in general, napping for this age at 4 years old tends to get dropped, and that's okay. They can stay up for 12 hours in a day, 14 hours in a day. And we don't want what will happen in this age is if you let your 4-year-old take a nap during the day, they're not going to go to sleep at night. So you got to just be really mindful of that. If you've had a huge day, of course, let them take an hour or so nap. But if they're sleeping for 3 hours, you're going to be in trouble when it comes to that nighttime bedtime. So when the nap is done, implement quiet time, 45 minutes. They can go upstairs, they can draw, write on a chalkboard, they can sit quietly in their room and flip through books and pretend to read. They can play with their cars or their dolls or whatever it is. 45 minutes on a timer. This is your time. You do what you need, but you do it quietly. And it really is very, very helpful for them developmentally. All right, Sarah, let's click to the next one. I'm surprised I guess we have gone a little long on this. So, guys, how do you know when to drop a nap? So your kids' naps starting to get shorter and shorter. They're refusing to just go to bed. They absolutely just do not want to go to bed, or they're starting to wake up super early in the morning between 5 and 6, which I personally feel like is early. I don't really like to do before 6 a.m. But if the kiddo is waking up between 5 and 6 and they're still napping and they're between the ages of 3 and 4, maybe time to start considering dropping the nap. Some kids drop their nap as early as 2 years old, which is unfortunate, I think, but you know, if that works well for their family, then that's fine. But we encourage, like I said, naps at least through 4 and quiet time through age 4.
And then, if your child does seem to be, I think either Jimmy or Dr. Nancy also just kind of noted this. If your child does seem to be doing prolonged daytime sleep, so like a long
look, it's the next slide. Go to the next slide, and it kind of catches that. Yes, here it is. We were on the same wavelength here, guys. This is super important. Always talk to your pediatrician. If your child is too sleepy, or hyperactive during the day, or you're getting a report from their preschool teacher, their teacher. They come to you with concerns that your child's having a hard time focusing at school, or they seem too tired, or your child is snoring. This is a very important time that you need to talk to your pediatrician, because the pediatrician needs to look and do a further dive into, are we having some sleep apnea or behavioral things or whatever that may be. But if you're noticing any of this, your child is just too tired, has to take a 3-hour nap and they're 4 years old, you know, and still going to bed by 7, definitely talk to your pediatrician about this for sure. And especially if you're hearing your child snoring at night. All right, next. So quick, Sarah, do you want to just say what sleep training is? And then hopefully we can try to take some questions here.
Yes, I will. Yes, great. I think we're doing good. Okay, so real quick. So what is sleep training? So sleep training is really just teaching your kiddo, right, how to self-soothe and how to fall asleep independently on their own, without any help from any other sleep props or any other kind of external stimuli, right? And so this is a skill, it's a lifelong skill, and it will really go through with your kiddo from now until adulthood. And so Rebecca and I, as sleep coaches, we teach the parents how to teach their kiddos how to sleep, okay? We ease like your anxiety. We give you step-by-step instruction, what to do here, what to do if this happens, perhaps why this is happening. And so how it works, right? So Rebecca and I, back in the day, back pre-COVID day, we, you know, would meet with parents either one-on-one, like at the coffee shop, or in their homes if we were to do like a nursery or a bedroom assessment. But anyway, but now we can do it either on the phone or FaceTime or Skype or what have you. But we meet with parents one-on-one, and we determine, you know, what their needs are, what their goals are, what are their concerns, right? And are they realistic concerns depending on the kiddo's age or, you know, developmental stage, right? So then once we determine if it's a realistic kind of goal and situation, then we develop an individual sleep plan just for your child. Again, kind of outlining step-by-step instructions on, you know, what to do here, develop a certain schedule, kind of depending on like your family's lifestyle, and your goals, okay? And then typically after 1 or 2 weeks of coaching, guess what? Your kid is sleeping. I kid you guys not. It's amazing and like the most rewarding work I've ever done. So yes, depending on like the age and kind of like the concerns, that's when, you know, it's 1 to 2 weeks. So not, again, there's like not a secret sauce. Like if you know, all babies across the board, if you do this and this and this, this will work. But that's why it's so awesome working with these coaches and families, just because like we get to really tweak and figure out what's like gonna work and what's not working, and it's awesome. So
I will agree, there's no better way to end your day or wake up in the morning and with a text from one of your people that says, oh my gosh, we just slept through the night, or, you know, oh my gosh, we just got him to sleep in his crib for a nap. So it's possible. I promise you it's possible.
Can I nerd out just real quick? Another super fun kind of thing, whether you decide that you need a sleep coach, or if you know, kind of want to just try to kind of look at things on your own at home, do create a sleep log, just like a visualization of like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. And it is so amazing, the progress that we see from like day 1 and 2, daytime naps, wake up times, night times, to day like 6 and 7. Okay, super just rewarding and awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so sorry for that.
Yes. No, I think that's great. Sleep logs, I think that's super, super important. I think the next slide is just kind of our ending. Something I wanted to touch on here, because we did have several of you guys, Heather, Kira, Tiffany, Rachel, Gabby, Jenny, Morgan, all reach out to us about nighttime terrors, sort of just nightmares in general. A lot of you, more than the names I just listed, had talked to us or reached out to us about the fact that because or since this whole pandemic has happened, kids' sleep is affected. And so one of the things that I just wanted to kind of pose to everyone is, we are all under a great deal of stress and a great deal of change. And we have a lot more responsibilities as parents, whether we're preschool, schooling, homeschooling, working from home, or our significant other is working from home and we're not used to that, or whatever it is. So you guys, this age group and even the kids on beyond, we had a couple of you guys write in about some questions for some older kids, and we would love to join partners again and do something for these older kids who seem to be having some emotional and stuff connected and anxiety connected to the pandemic where we are. But this age group, they are very smart and they know what's going on and they listen and they hear us. So be mindful of the conversations that you're having with, be it work or family or friends or whatever, about what's going on. If your little one is within, earshot, because if we're talking about things that are causing us anxiety, they catch that and they know that and they hold that. And that can be causing some nighttime, some reason for them to be a little bit scared as well. They know that things are different if they were in preschool and they're not anymore, or mommy always went to work and now she's home all the time, or daddy's home all the time, or we're not going to the grocery store normally, and we're not going to the parks normally, and we don't go to our soccer practice. And although they may not articulate exactly what they are feeling this shift. And we need to just kind of give them the benefit of a doubt to hold some structure for them and some predictability for their little lives and their little schedule. So I think that's something that just as a parent to try to be mindful about during our current situation. If we can, like I said, just try to give them some sort of predictability of what's to expect, and talk to them and see if they feel fearful or scared, and what, especially these 4-year-olds, I just feel like they're so intuitive into what's going on and curious about what's going on. So be mindful of that. COVID times there's just so many uncertainties. So this is also a great time to instill great sleep coaching and sleep skills for these kiddos. So, and the benefit of this is that oftentimes both caregivers are home. And so you as adults have the support of the other adult, which is oftentimes really important, especially for moms, dads who called in, or dads who sent in messages. My heart just opens up and loves you so much for getting involved in something like this. And I will tell you, mamas, we have an emotional attachment, and we have an we physiologically have a different change that happens in our bodies when our children are upset, that dads, I don't think, have just that same sort of physical response. So it's awesome if you have a partner who is willing to help you out with this. So with that, I know that we have a few minutes and we can take some questions. Just want to quickly too, before we end, obviously, just again, thank you so much, Partners in Pediatrics, for having us. Dr. Jimmy, Dr. Nancy, we're super, super grateful for you. Also to Ben, who did all the marketing for this, and he's so awesome, and we thank you so much. We just want you guys to know, if you have any questions that we don't get to before we wrap up tonight, please feel free to get onto Sleepably's website. You can get on there. All the attendees from this webinar are going to get 20% off. We'll send out an email tonight with the link to set up a discovery call. And in the discovery call, you'll either be paired up with Sara or I. Will talk to you if it's a good fit and it's something you guys think you want to do, you need some coaching. We are super happy to do that, and you'll be getting 20% off. So thanks so much to everyone. And Sara, are you still there?
I am. You are stuck on my screen. Can you not see me?
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Go ahead and start taking some questions. I'm not sure what's happening over here.
Can you see me?
I can.
Okay, great. So I'm looking. All right, so it looks like, is it Kedra? Tips for joining 2 kiddos in 1 room because a new baby is coming. Well, congratulations on this new baby. One thing that can help is to have 2 white noise machines, like one right next to each kid's head. And then that way they're not as easily distracted if like one of the other kid gets out of bed. And sometimes you can even do like another white noise machine in the hallway. They do have those little ones that you can like plug it into the outlet. Also, huge props for staying in their beds, staying in the bedroom, sleeping through the night. Huge success, rewards, loves, excitement, positivity, and they'll get it. It can take a little bit, but they'll get it. Rebecca, do you have any other tips for 2 kiddos room sharing?
I think it might be something to go into a little bit on more of a discovery call, because there's some questions like, do they go to bed at the same time? Are they going to bed at separate times? Or do they wake up at the same time? Is one kid waking the other kid up and the other kid you know what I mean? It's a little bit more of a deep dive. The sound machines are great for sure. And then also like, where are the beds? Are they side by side? Are they head to head? It kind of depends a little bit on that stuff. So I would say reach out, just because I got to think on it, to be honest with you.
Are you able to see the chat comments? If not, I can.
Oh, bunk beds. Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, I think like Rebecca said, just because there's so many variables, we're happy to talk with you one-on-one. How about how to work with a kiddo that's 6 and has slept more with mom and dad than their own bed and always scared in his own room? I think that's going to be like a lot of positive reinforcement. You could even slowly kind of transition from, if he sleeps in his room, like you can sleep in there, or not sleep in there, but like sit in there with him for a little bit and then slowly transition. But 6-year-olds, that's hard, especially if it's kind of been a lifelong kind of habit. But yeah, I think it's more of a slow progression for sure at that age.
Yep, slow progression. And a lot. Oh, can you hear me or no? Mm-hmm. Oh, you can. Okay. I was just going to say, for the 6-year-old too, just is there something is what's scaring them in the room? Is it just being alone? Because if it's just being alone, then we're going to have to do some work on getting comfortable with being on your own. So just like a quick method, the chair and room method, where you're sort of sitting in there and you're just positive. I'm right here, buddy. I'm right here. Fall asleep. You're good. And eventually kind of moving the chair further and further, but just a lot of work. I will say it's going to be a lot of work to get there, but just because he's going to have to get himself, he or she, to fall asleep on their own with you kind of there. And as you slowly start to move away, they usually get more and more comfortable. But I'd also try to figure out if there's something in particular in the room that's scaring them. I also saw someone, and I don't know if it was Nancy, but we talked about a dream catcher, and I've used this before too, but having a dream catcher above the bed can oftentimes say, if you're having bad dreams, this dream catcher catches your bad dreams and stops them from going anywhere else. And then if I saw an awesome comment that said, if the dream catcher feels full, like the kids just says, I'm so full of bad dreams, whatever, you take the catcher down and shake it, you get them all out. So that could also be something to try.
I think we have time for this last 24-month-old who will not take naps, but falls asleep at dinner. Tips on getting her to take a nap. So this, I think, would be a great opportunity to take a look at that nap time environment. Is the bedroom super duper dark? Is it the same routine? Are you guys following the same routine at nap time that you do for nighttime? So, you know, like a book or two, depending on kind of how much time you have before nap. If you do, you know, any kind of like, whatever your nighttime routine is, do for nap time. Darkness, white noise, look at that wake time schedule for, so 5 to 7 hours. So make sure that, you know, they've kind of built up their sleep deficit. And then consistency, stay with that routine, stay with that schedule. Okay. And then any other, did we leave anything out? My friend Rebecca.
Well, can you see me? Can you see me?
Yes, you're just sticking.
Oh, okay, I don't know why. It says my connectivity is a little low, but I'm sure we did. It's you know, it's a lot to cover, guys, in an hour, but I hope that we did some good. I hope you can take with you some of this information. Please reach out to us if you have any sort of questions that you want answered, or you need the coaching, and that's okay, because I needed coaching, and then here I am doing it to all the other people. That it's so rewarding. So reach out to us, do a free discovery call, and see if it's something that we can help you with further. And then hopefully we'll get back together with partners and do another one of these for you guys. Okay.
All right, you guys. So we will be sending out an email with the recording, and then as well as how to get to our website here either later this evening or whenever the recording is available via Zoom. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night. Sleep well.